Would the chair of the day, past president, Quinn Scalzo, come to the podium and introduce our guest speaker?
Good afternoon, members and guests. A long day, Lord Mayor. I hope you didn't mind getting a bird's eye view of just how much work is required to run the Rotary Club of Melbourne. And we thank all of the people who put their hand up to be part of our club next year. Great pleasure to welcome the Lord Mayor, and I'd like to introduce her to you by giving a little bit of brief backgrounding in relation to her past and hopefully future. Sally Capp was re-elected Lord Mayor of Melbourne in October 2020, having previously been elected in May 2018, and is the first woman to be directly elected as Lord Mayor. Sally's top priorities are setting the pace and driving a prosperous city economy, helping rough sleepers get more support and a pathway into secure housing, and ensuring Melbourne remains a global leader in environmental sustainability. She's committed to seeing Melbourne reclaim the title of the world's most livable city. So keep going, Sally, we can't be that far away. Sally is the current chair of the Council of Capital Cities Lord Mayor and is also a member of the Federal Government Urban Policy Forum. In 2023, she was appointed as an officer of the Order of Australia in the King's Birthday Honours for distinguishing services to the people of Melbourne. So congratulations to local government, to business and to the community through various organisations. She's also named the McKinnon Emerging Political Leader of the Year in 2019. Sally was the first woman to hold the post of Agent General for Victoria in the UK, Europe and Israel. She has also served as the CEO for the Committee for Melbourne and Victoria, Executive Director of the Property Council of Australia. Here we go, a passionate Collingwood Football Club supporter. Sally made history in 2004 as the club's first female board member. Sally began her career as a solicitor after completing law honours degree and commerce degrees at the University of Melbourne. She holds senior roles in both KPMG and ANZ and co-founded a small business which she took to the ASX. What an incredible background. She's involved in a number of charities, currently sitting on the board of the Olivia Newton-John Research Institute, the Mary Jane Lewis Scholarship Foundation and the Melbourne University Faculty of Business and Economics. Lord Mayor, Sally Capp, please.
Thank you, Quinn. Thank you, everybody, for such a warm welcome today. And I'm always delighted to join you. I always say to myself coming into this meeting particularly that I'm not going to be emotional, but I end up being emotional because I'm just so impressed by the commitment, the dedication and the positive outcomes that you deliver for Melbourne and Melburnians. So thank you so much. I'll reflect on some of those today, but it's really breathtaking to learn more always about what you do. And of course, it's all volunteer leadership. It's just wonderful. So thank you. Chris, congratulations on your presidency and all that you've achieved during the course of this year. Best wishes, of course, to all the new leaders coming in over the year ahead. And of course, to all Rotarians, thank you so much, not just for being here today, but always fronting up to important activities and initiatives across Melbourne. We are on the land of the Wurundjeri Wurrung people, and I acknowledge their elders past and present. At the City of Melbourne, we honour the unbroken spiritual, political and cultural connection that traditional owners have with this place called Nudham and have had for more than 2,000 generations. We have accepted the invitation in the Uluru Statement from the Heart to recognise traditional owners as the longest continuing living culture and to continue to give a voice to our traditional owners as we shape the future of our city together. I am absolutely delighted to be here with you today for a State of the City address. It's my 6th. I can't believe it. It's quite extraordinary, actually. And recognising, of course, as we've heard, that Melbourne is the first and therefore oldest or longest running, I should say, Rotary Club in Australia. It's the biggest, and it seems like it's got the biggest hearts as well in terms of giving. So that was fantastic to be able to celebrate that with you today as well. But it is wonderful for me to be able to, as I prepared for today, just really reminisce over the fact that over those 6 State of the City addresses that we've been talking about things like celebrating the lifting of lockdowns. I don't want to take us back there, but that was certainly one of the key topics. Sharing initiatives and strategies to reignite the city and ongoing efforts there I'll talk about today. Of course, all of the initiatives always to make sure that people aren't left behind in our city and our community, and of course the valuable work that you do here in the city. And I really appreciate the opportunity today as well. Bruce is right here. Hello. A break in proceedings. Of course, I want to recognise that what an enormous year this has been for so many reasons, but really what's fresh in my memory still, very happy memories, is the incredible international conference held here in May. Congratulations to everyone. Mary, I know you led the charge, but everybody that was involved in delivering that incredible conference here in Melbourne. 12,000 people at Rod Laver Arena on that first morning. And I was there, so proud as being part of the host city contingent to have all of those people from around the world. I was waving flags like everybody else was. And of course, a lot achieved during that time, not just the cocktail parties and the gala dinners, but all of the initiatives, one of which is not just a legacy for Rotary, which is the peace bells, and I understand that's now being picked up around the world, that Singapore is going to be doing the same, but that leaves a legacy here in our city, an indelible imprint of the work that Rotary does and the contribution to our community. So really, congratulations to all of you, and I hope you're still basking in the glory of that conference and everything that was delivered. And it's a little bit about what I wanted to touch on today, because Rotary is an organisation that's been very good at adapting and setting the pace at really not just surviving, I guess, over its 118 years of history, but thriving. And I know that, according to the website, that there is a new Rotary Club established somewhere in the world every 12 hours. Wow, what a way of motivating, inspiring and galvanising people power. And that's what Rotary is all about. And your unparalleled reputation for service to community, for supporting people, their health, their ambitions, their education, and of course, continually responding to the challenges and opportunities that present themselves in cities and communities around the world underpins the fact that Rotary has thrived for more than a century. In Melbourne, I reflect that we have been doing exactly the same thing, that as a city we have been adapting and pirouetting and setting the pace through big challenges like the pandemic, and to really leverage the opportunities in the dynamic global and local environment in which we operate. But fueled, I think, very much by the experience as the city with the most days in lockdown. Melburnians really are making hay while the sun shines. The city activity has really reached new heights, and I wanted to touch on this a little bit so you've got some of that information to take away with you today. People literally are flocking to events, Grand Prix, more recently the Grand Final series was huge. Our Cup weekend, Melbourne Racing, Spring Racing Carnival weekend, was the busiest day at Melbourne Airport, busiest weekend I should say at Melbourne Airport since the pandemic. So we're really starting to see people come back. Our state's universities now have more than 100% of international students back, and campus life is starting to hum again. And our city traders are making the most of supercharged visitation across the many offers in the city, with city data revealing all sorts of interesting facts, but one of them is that there are more hospitality businesses now opened on a Sunday than ever before, really acknowledging that the foot traffic is growing on days that previously were quieter and really across our nighttime economy, which is absolutely booming. I did want to say a call out for the convention in May. We are really being highly competitive in attracting conferences and business events to Melbourne. They generate the most value, and the Rotary Conference represented 37,000 nights in our hotels here in Melbourne. Thank you so much from that sector and many more. Now, we do recognise that, as Quinn said in the introduction, thank you, Quinn, for that lovely introduction, that one of our main priorities is to get our economy humming again. Because we know from economic prosperity, we get the capacity to be able to support many, many more initiatives that are worthwhile across our community. And pre-COVID, our city economy, it was in one of my early speeches, had hit a record $104 billion in annual economic turnover, $104 billion. During COVID, we took about a $27 billion hit to that economy. I'm actually surprised it wasn't more, given that we were shut for so many days. But I wanted to tell you that as at 30 June this year, our city economy reached $114 billion in economic activity. So really, congratulations to all of you in the businesses that you run. And it shows that we are definitely on the right trajectory to achieve economic growth and prosperity, with our target for this year at $120 billion by June 2024. We are really well on track. But within that story, and let's face it, I'm head of sales as well for Melbourne, so I'm often telling those positive stories. We absolutely understand that there are layers still of businesses and individuals, families, parts of our community that are struggling, and that there are still many bumps ahead as we continue to create and deliver good outcomes in our city. And one of the key elements of that is that we have a lot of unpredictability in our city. The rhythm of our city has changed. The Monday to Friday 9 to 5 is gone. Our night times, as I said, are thriving. Our Sundays are busier than our Mondays. And the unpredictability of when people are coming in and out of our city has created a very challenging environment for a lot of our small business owners. Private sector is actually very good, of course, at responding to what's happening in the market. But at the moment, that unpredictability, and I know we see it in property markets as well, rising costs of living, and always uncertainty around interest rate rises, etc., means that we still have quite a way to go to build that predictability into our economy and the ongoing confidence that comes with that. And I did want to call that out because it's not all rainbows and sunshine, and it is important that we maintain our efforts and our investments to ensure that right across our economy and city, people have the opportunity to thrive. But I did want to say that as we are moving into a new rhythm, and we talk about this a lot, we haven't yet settled on a new routine in the City of Melbourne, and that's something that is an aspiration of ours. It creates that predictability and that confidence for people to move forward. Now, worldwide trends are showing that a working week is settling at about 3.5 days in the office per week, which is actually pretty good, I think, given the shock that we've gone through and the fact that we have transformed the way that we can work to embrace more flexibility. We have to really celebrate that flexibility and what it means for modern workplaces. But 3.5 days in the office is where the worldwide trends are settling. For us here in Melbourne, I wanted to just say that at the moment, our focus is on Monday and Friday. They are our quietest parts of the week, during the day on Monday and during the day on Friday. And a lot of our initiatives and investments around city activation are going to those 2 days. They could be very different. Maybe Monday's going to be a tourist day or a culture day, a day for visitation and not work. That could be the future, we don't know yet. But we have just appointed a new City Economy Advisory Committee with business owners and leaders to be able to give us ideas, insights and guidance on ways in which we can continue to invest, because we want to be, as global cities are, a 24/7 dynamic city, and that is our aim for our community. I also get asked a lot, are cities even relevant post-pandemic, given that we've had a lot of conversations about people leaving cities and moving to live outside cities and then working remotely. And I'm really pleased to say that just like Rotary, Melbourne as a city has endured and it will continue to thrive. That despite the shocks that we have been able to adapt and respond to remain an epicentre for connection, for collaboration and for commerce. And it's these elements that will continue to distinguish a big capital city environment compared to regional cities or rural environments. I think throughout it all, though, as we've reflected on this challenge at Town Hall, that we do feel that something has been central to the reason why Melbourne as a city continues to endure. And that's because as city leaders, together with other organisations like Rotary, we have continued to prioritise people and to really nurture initiatives and projects that put people at the centre of the present and the future, to position the city as a place that people want and need. And that will continue to be a guiding principle for us at Town Hall. There has been extraordinary change, and we are determined throughout this experience, particularly this unsettling experience, to prioritise people and to listen to people. So we've done a lot of work over the last 5 years to constantly receive feedback, because it has been such a dynamic environment on what people want. And we've worked with the Committee for Melbourne on their benchmark report, for example, which really gives us some great comparisons and focuses us on areas of need. I know Leanne's here today. And we'll continue to collaborate and listen to organisations like Rotary through your important forums. Another great value for me in coming to your many activities is to be able to listen to what people want. And let me tell you, that list is long, as it should be, because we want people to be ambitious and we want people to be demanding, because we want to be the city that people expect and want to be part of into the future. To give you some examples of what people have told us, they want affordable housing. They want fulfilling work. They want green open spaces, essential services, world-class education and world-class events. They want a city that demonstrates care and the value of connection. They want a city with clean and safe spaces, and they want action on climate change. And I've read those out because I know so many of them reflect the agenda of this amazing organisation. So as you can imagine, that's what we are focused on delivering here in the City of Melbourne. And I wanted to touch on two key areas, which Quinn's already very helpfully identified ahead of time. One of them is the affordable housing crisis, or just the housing crisis. Let's face it, we need more of everything when it comes to housing. And it has, we're really pleased to say, become more and more of a priority at federal, state and local government levels and right across the private and community sectors. We all know that no one part of this paradigm has all of the solutions or all of the ideas on how we can address this. But of course, the other side of that is that we must absolutely work together if we're going to be able to address this at pace, given what has been really decades of a neglect of this as a priority on our combined agendas. Now, many people have told us at local government level, certainly since I came in 2018, that local government doesn't really have a role to play in housing. That is some feedback that I reject absolutely for many, many reasons. But right at the heart of that is that how can we say as an organisation, as a level of government, with any good conscience, that we are a caring, inclusive community if we don't actually do something that's within our power to add benefit into addressing the housing crisis. So that's what we have been working on, as many of you know. Reflection again on Rotary is the incredible program that's called Make a House a Home. And that is about creating dignity for people that come in extraordinary circumstances into a house, and your efforts to help them make it a home. And the value and the difference that seemingly commonplace household items can make to how people feel valued and can have dignity and make them feel that whilst they may have been invisible for a long time as a homeless person, that they really are somebody that's part of our community is absolutely key to that project. Congratulations to everyone involved. And that's really at the heart of what we're doing as well. How do we restore dignity and help people create a circuit breaker from what is often years experiencing homelessness, almost institutionalised rough sleeping on the streets of Melbourne, into long-term, not just pathways to secure housing, but the ability to live confidently and successfully in that secure housing. And that's what our Make Room project is all about, secure, supported transitional housing in a building owned by council at 602 Little Bourke Street. Many of you have heard me talk about Make Room before. We've been busy fundraising as well. We've raised almost $16 million to help us retrofit that building into a new benchmark of accommodation available for people transitioning out of long-term homelessness into long-term secure housing. The designs have been finalised, you'll be pleased to know. Early works are now complete. We were down there last week. The builder's been appointed. They are on site, and the renovation of that building is underway. This time next year, happy people will be living in that facility. And they will have a different, brighter future ahead of them because of that project. And we know at the same time, not only does it change their lives, but it changes the lives of residents, traders, workers, visitors and students in our city as we all want to live together in fulfilled and happy ways. So affordable housing, and in that case, the Make Room project, absolutely key. Now, we know that there are so many other elements of the affordable housing conundrum still to solve. Social housing as well, even more market housing as our population continues to grow, and we welcome that growth in population. And so every effort that we're making as individuals and organisations around this room to address that crisis are appreciated, and happy to talk more about that. Now, homelessness is not the only priority we share with Rotary. Addressing climate change is another one. And we both agree that brave, bold, urgent action is required to make sure that our city is livable into the future and that we have a sustainable future. And in the past financial year, for example, the City of Melbourne planted 2,500 new trees across city landscapes to cool our city, to provide shaded areas. And that is, as we continue to experience more heat waves in our city, hard for people in other states to think that Melbourne's actually getting warmer and warmer, but that is the biggest climate change challenge that we'll be facing in the decades ahead. We're also installing a new community battery project, an independent network with our first, they're about the size of a shipping container, our first battery going in at the Dock Library in May next year, which will be fabulous. We've just released our Retrofit Melbourne plan. 66% of emissions in the city come from existing commercial buildings, and the way that we use energy, and if we can turn those existing buildings into positive contributors to both energy and lower emissions, then that will be a fantastic thing. So if you own a building or you're a tenant in a building in the city and you'd like to know more about that, we'd love to talk to you about it. It is about our collective efforts again when it comes to climate, because we can't do these things alone. And your efforts around donating seedlings, hosting discussions on circular economy and supporting food waste. I'm getting the wind up, I love this, is absolutely key. Good. Slowly walk towards me because I wanted to touch on this last thing, and that is that all of us are committed to an inclusive, caring community. And these are difficult times. We're seeing more division and more challenges around cohesion than ever before. And a big driver of that right at the moment is conflict in Israel and Gaza. And just on the way up here, it said literally it had been posted 3 minutes was the headline that said that the Israeli cabinet has agreed on a ceasefire, which is unbelievable. I hope it's accurate and I hope that it lasts. But I did want to just share with you the City of Melbourne's stance just agreed last week after much debate and varying views at Town Hall, which reflect really where we're at as a community as well. And I'm going to read it to you. The City of Melbourne acknowledges the ongoing trauma stemming from conflicts in Israel and Gaza. That hurt is felt deeply around the world and in our community. At the City of Melbourne, we understand that we have a leadership role to play. Our responsibility is to promote the de-escalation of tensions in our city. We aim to maintain respect for the values that underpin our multicultural community and encourage civility in our democracy. We want to promote cohesion, and accordingly, we are not taking action that we will believe will cause conflict or division in our community. We support the right to peaceful protests and freedom of expression. Melbourne is a proud multicultural city, and we encourage everyone to demonstrate respect, harmony, and kindness during these turbulent times. Racism, vilification, and discrimination have no place in our city. We do not tolerate statements and speech that incite hatred or aggression. Displaying compassion and humanity is critical at this time. Melbourne is stronger because of our diversity and our respect for differences. We want peace in our city and peace in our world. Thank you very much.
How damn lucky are we? How damn lucky are we to have Sally Capp with us? So thank you, Sally, very much. And thank the City of Melbourne for looking after our interests as the community. Thank you, Sally. So I'd like to thank visitors and guests for attending today. We're very grateful. Pleased to see lots of you here. A thank you to Bernie McIntosh, who took over from Rosemary, and for reflection from Robert Fisher and Pepper. We'd like to also thank our Set-Up Lunch Committee and the teams for their effort. Again, if you can stay a little bit afterwards, we leave. For some of us, we could like to help to clean up. Young lady, you're going to help us, I think. So a reminder for next week, we meet again at number 35, where we'll be recognising as an individual our community with 23-24 Sir John Reid Community Service Award. Please join us to hear a tireless volunteer in our community. Right here.